2. Morning, my friends. Damn, Brian, you watched this so long. What's going on? All right, man, let's go do what we got to do. How is everybody? Man, charts are a little bit of a mess because the market faded off yesterday. You know, after the gap up on the Trumpsters news, it was fantastic news. It was the best news in the world. Right now, we're making a deal with the Mexicans where we redo NAFTA. They're going to give me money for this big wall. It's a fantastic wall. Me, Kim Jong, and all my friends, we're making this wall. We're sending beautiful love letters to each other right now. So we had our, we had a little bit of the news out, but then, the market faded off. So, like, what you're seeing is, like, all these charts that we watch, like, they all got smoked out yesterday. And so you're seeing, like, a big mess in a lot of charts. There was weakness. Like, even though the NASDAQ actually finished green, there was really weakness, like, kind of across the board in tech stocks in general, which is a majority of the stuff that, we trade. So that's going to be something that we really need to watch on is there a divergence in the market? Like, as the market is hanging out, do, like, some of our favorite tech names start to roll over? Now, that doesn't mean that the market rolls over, but what that means is there can be a rotation in names, right? And so, like, you saw that with some of these names. Like, we trade this TTD quite a bit, and, man, it was down 5% yesterday, but the market was up flat. It's like, how's that even possible, right? So there may be a rotation happening in names, and so that'll be something that we have to keep an eye on, that some of the stuff that we've been trading for a long time, we may have to look and see where the rotation comes in. If the names like TTD and Twilio and stuff that, we really like to trade, that we've been trading for just this longest time, they start to roll, then we'll have to find, whatever the next hot tech stocks are going to be. Like you saw even on Squarespace. Squarespace always goes up, right? And, man, this thing was getting smoked out yesterday too. So just something to kind of keep an eye on. Not very many good gappers to the upside, as you can see over here. There's a few on the list, but there wasn't really anything that I thought was juicy. And kind of what we're seeing right now, man, it's been a hot market, but, what we're seeing, I know probably a lot of you guys traded this thing yesterday, and it was on fire, had this big run, but you're seeing the monster kind of gap down on this thing. It's already down like $2 on this thing. So at this point, like, it may, with a gap down that size, like, it's going to trigger the SSR because it's down 12.3%. So what we'll have to do is watch it at the open. This could be either the deflating of the run, meaning, like, look, these things are all turds, right? Everybody knows that the pot stocks are turds, right? Like, look, stoners never go anywhere in life, right? You ever see a stoner running around town? You don't want to hang out with that guy, right? You don't want to hang out with that guy, right? So these things are probably coming back down at some point. The question is going to be, does it, because the SSR is on, do you get a quick spike back? Oftentimes what will happen is, when the SSR is on, like, the dip gets bought and you get a quick spike back, and then people will think that it's going red to green because you'll get close as the gap gets filled, and then it rolls over. It'll smack into the gap fill area or the 9 EMA and roll back over. So I think personally for you guys, if you're not that nimble, you kind of stay away from these things because, like, you can see this thing just ramped up monster after hours. I mean, that's like a 50, 75% gain. Now it's like pre-market's getting shredded, but it's still a gap up from yesterday. And so you're kind of getting two different things happening here, which is, one is like you're getting weakness pre-market, but it's still a gap up from the previous close. And so it's going to be a little bit dicey. But this is my rule when we're trading these kind of things. When you get, like, when the run starts at 2 and you're at 10 and you got multiple days outside that upper Bollinger Band, you got to kind of leave this thing alone unless you're just a really, really nimble trader. If you're nimble and you can move freely long and short, and you have that kind of skill, then you can do that. But, like, even in my chat room with my students, there's probably 10 people that have that kind of skill where they can go long, short, and just, right, sashay around like a bunch of Turkish eunuchs, right? It's not necessarily as easy as it looks, so stick with the easier plays today. Look, this SFIX is gapping down today on some bad earnings. You're breaking down multiple levels on your moving average here. This could be something where this thing breaks these pre-market lows. You may see this thing get smoked off at the open. Watch for either an ORB pattern or, because the SSR is on this thing with 21% down, if you get a little bit of grinding at the open, let it pop, hit the 9 EMA, and then kind of watch it roll over, and then you can take the short on this thing. It should have really good range today, as typically it does. But my one worry with this one is going to be that the SSR is on it. The rest of this stuff is just all junk over here. I haven't seen anything that I particularly like out of it. So we'll have to be a little bit careful on these things. Keep Roku on your list. This is out of all the little tech stocks. I mean, this one had the highest relative strength, meaning it was up 5% yesterday. You're getting a little bit of weakness in this thing. So I'll keep an eye on this thing for a potential red to green. We've got also this Lev B. This thing was really, really flying yesterday. I mean, you got that big push and then a VWAP bounce. Now, this thing is opening weak. Now, if it's opening weak like this, you'll have to watch this thing for a potential red to green move. You know, you may get a second play on this as people shift from one to another. But my one thinking on some of these names is going to be that, like, if NBEV and IGC roll over, it's going to take all the other small cap kind of pump and dumps out of the way. So what you'll have to do is, like, keep an eye on the main ones, because if those roll over, then all of the sudden, all these little turds are going to roll over too. And frankly, I hate trading fucking small caps anyway, so I'm looking forward to the day these things die down. This PX actually looks like a pretty good setup here. You've got a flat top break. I got multiple tests of resistance. 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests, 4 tests. Broke out yesterday. It's got pretty good range on it. I'd keep an eye on this one to see where this thing's got to go. NVIDIA's come all the way down from 260 to 290. You're piercing the top of the Bollinger Band, and you're overbought on your stochastics. So you're at 87. Usually anything over 90 is considered extreme. So one thing to remember is, like, when you're hitting the upper Bollinger Band and you're over 90 stochastics, that is considered a rubber band short for our system of trading. So one thing we'll do is, if we get any strength in NVIDIA, meaning like we start to pop and we either double top around here, or we start to pop and then we get a rollover pattern intraday, I'll actually look to potentially take this one short, as this one is a little bit with a little bit long in the tooth today. Dun 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 dun. AMRN. So I got this on watch for potential short. So this thing has gone from 290. It got up to 18 bucks yesterday. You can see the candle over here. This is like your quintessential reversal candle. When you get a stock that busts open that has like a strong open like this, see how it goes from 16 to 18, and then it actually rolls over and finishes red on the day. What that is usually a reversal day, right? So it's like a hammer candle. Anybody ever hear that term? And so usually what will happen when something like that happens, the subsequent strength in the stock will often get faded off, as now a crack in the armor has shown. So I'll be looking, if we get a pop in this thing and we start to show a rollover pattern, I'll look to potentially short this. One thing to remember with this thing too is, like, it's 9 EMAs at 1175, so you've got actually room to fall on something like this. So keep an eye on this bad boy, see what happens, because this one probably deserves a little bit of pullback. I mean, long term, the breakout is big and the volume is big on the breakout, but we probably need a day or two of a pullback on this bad boy. What's going on? HIPH. Let me see. Yeah, I normally don't trade these like kind of sub pennies, but, you know, I mean, you definitely got some strength here that you could kind of day trade around in. I don't know anything about the company, but definitely had a nice little run on it. Yeah, Tesla's been something that we probably do need to keep an eye on. My worry on Tesla is, look, stocks trade in between support and resistance, right? Stocks trade around in their longer term ranges also. So like right now, Tesla seems to bounce when it gets close to that 250, and then like strength on it gets faded off. So right now, being at like kind of that 312, you're essentially mid-range, right? And so when you're mid-range, you're just the penis in between us, right? It's sitting in the middle in the back seat of a car. It's not as cool as, right nut or left nut. So that's where you want to go with this bad boy. Is like right now, you're going to need this thing to kind of thrust over these moving averages to really get going. And if that happens, then, you'll probably get a little bit of a release and go on this. Guys, I think today's going to be a little bit tricky just because you're getting wild pre-market action here, and I do think that it's going to take a little bit more skill. The last few days, Anthony, stop asking about SYN. I already told you that thing's a hoe. Jesus. 3 days in a row I tell you that thing sucks. How many days in a row? What are you, married to this thing? Get out of here. Right? Now, what we know on this bad boy is that the range on this thing is going to be really nasty. So if you're having trouble trading on some of these little guys, probably leave it alone. This will be a much trickier day to trade than it was yesterday or the day before. So make sure that you guys stay safe. This docu, I saw a couple of you guys ask about it. Yes, this does look like a short for sure. Right? I already told you. How many times I got to tell you? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, yeah, you got a breakdown pattern here. I'm actually going to steal that one and put it on my list too. I'm kind of teasing Anthony, but you already know the answer. So we got a nice breakdown over here. You got a 9 EMA curling right up on top of it. And so that's going to be a little bit, this looks like a short, man. This had good range yesterday. I'm adding that on my list. And when I make some money on it today, I'm going to make an awesome YouTube video and be like, guys, man, I had this awesome trade. Learn from me. But I'm just kidding. I make sure to give you guys a shout out on that one. Thank you, Can't Sleep. Appreciate it. Hey, man, what's up, baby? Look, Facebook is in a range here. See this long term? You got this come down, pop up, come down, pop up. You're just in a long-term range. And when you got something like, not a long-term range, but a 1 month range, I think what you have to do is let that range start to figure out which way it wants to go. Does the range want to break to the upside or the downside? The overall trend says down, right, on Facebook. So if it breaks under 160, it's probably a short. If it gets over that 170 range, then, it's still kind of in mid-range. And so for me, it's just a leave alone. So I like stocks that trend. You know what I mean? When you trade stocks that are trending, everything works out, man. The pullbacks, the support plays, everything works in your favor. But in absence of trend, you got nothing. So that's the way it goes, people. I got to go and do what I got to do. As always, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been fast. The market's opening. Be good today. I will always be in my chat room if you want to trade. I'm live on screen share every single day, calling out the plays. I have my trading platform up and all that fun stuff. Guys, see everybody tomorrow. Let's go do what we do. It's game time. It's show time. Da-da, 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 da-da. All right. Let's go get our money. Let's go get our money.